So you're the incompetent employee my dad always talks about. My boss, Keeney Smith, trembled when he heard those words. Keeney's son, Tim, mercilessly revealed Keeney's wrongdoings, causing chaos in the interview room. But this was all part of the plan. That's because Tim had told me about the plan beforehand. Don't run away. Face up to what you've done, Mr. Smith. Gradually, Keeney was cornered. I held his shoulder to make sure he didn't run away. As a corporate spy, Keeney seemed very nice person on his outer side. He had dirt on people in other departments, making it seem pointless to report his misdeeds the usual way. That's why we took this approach. It's working perfectly. Keeney's wrongdoing ends here. My name is Tyler Williams. I'm a man in my 40s working for a pharmaceutical manufacturing company. I don't have any particularly noticeable strengths, and my hobby is fishing on weekends. My weakness might be that I'm a bit laid back. Growing up in the countryside, I've often been called a laid-back person. Of course, I hurry when I need to, and I don't slack off at work, but people seem to think my actions are slow. Tasks that others complete in minutes often take me tens of minutes. As a child, I was teased for this, and my parents were worried. So, I made sure to take responsibility for my actions, compensating for my slowness by being thorough and accurate. As a result, I've worked at the manufacturing company into my 40s, proving my parents' worries were unfounded. Now, I work cheerfully every day for my wife and daughter. Early in the morning, I commuted to the company, feeling the freezing winter cold. After arriving at the accounting office where I work, I greeted my colleagues. Good morning, it's really cold today. Good morning, Williams. Yes, it is, I can't stop my nose from running. While chatting with colleagues before work, something caught my eye. I noticed something strange about the clock on the office wall. Observing closely, the clock hands seem to move irregularly. It looks like that clock needs a new battery. Maybe it's just dying. It was working fine earlier. I grabbed a battery from the shelf at the end of the office and headed to the clock. Standing on the step stool that a colleague brought over, I replaced the clock's battery. I also adjusted the time to make sure it was accurate. After a few minutes, the hands that had been moving irregularly were back to normal. As I was finishing up, our manager, Keeney Smith, arrived. In his 50s, Keeney is a very friendly person who oversees this department. He's an elite from a prestigious university, but he's down to earth and approachable. Good morning, everyone. Let's work hard today. Keeney greeted us loudly and then spoke to me. Did the clock die? Nice catch, Williams. Keeney knows my strengths. Even if people call me slow, he appreciates the good qualities that make up for it. Keeney understands all of us in the department well, earning everyone's trust. From the bottom of my heart, I'm glad that Keeney Smith is the manager of my department. That night, as I was working late, I left my desk to go to the restroom. Usually, I'm only assigned work that can be finished within regular hours, so this was unusual. But today, 2 people were absent due to flu and colds, increasing the workload. Keeney was also working late, but he had just stepped out with his phone. Feeling tired, I headed to the restroom, thinking about how tough it must be for a manager. Suddenly, I heard Keeney's voice from a nearby room. Yes, the next product we are launching is medical supplies for children. Hearing those words, I froze. The information Keeney was sharing should never have left the company. I had heard that another department was developing medical supplies tailored to children's sizes. Keeney was giving detailed information about sizes and colors to someone on the other end of the phone, laughing mockingly. There are several people in the company I've got dirt on, so if you need anything, contact me. I might be able to help. Cold sweat ran down my face as I wiped my forehead with a handkerchief. It seemed I had overheard something very serious. I decided to record the conversation as evidence, so I activated my phone. However, in my panic, I fumbled and it made a sound. "Who's there?" At that moment, Keeney's sharp voice rang out. Hearing footsteps approaching, I quickly left the area. I ran into the men's restroom, almost stumbling, and held my head in my hands. I knew it wouldn't be good to return to the office while still shaken, so I decided to call home on my phone. Looking back, I'm not sure why I did that, but I probably wanted to forget the unusual situation by engaging in a normal conversation. My wife answered almost immediately. "Honey, what's up?" "I just felt like talking." "It doesn't sound like you're calling to say you'll be home soon. Did something happen?" My perceptive wife noticed my agitation and spoke with concern. "No, it's nothing. I just wanted to hear your voice." "Really?" Not wanting to worry her, I tried to keep calm, but I heard loud footsteps coming from the other side of the phone. The next moment, I heard my daughter's voice. "Mom, let me talk to Dad." "Dad, you're late. What are you doing?" "I made your favorite mackerel in miso sauce for dinner." "We already ate it all." My daughter, Kathy, a high school senior, spoke angrily. "Mackerel in miso sauce is my favorite dish." I felt bad because she had made it especially for me. "I just have a lot of work today." "That's rare." By the way, there was an interesting fish show on TV today, so I recorded it, watch it later and delete it. "Okay. Got it." It was a mundane conversation, but it calmed me down. Knowing that what I need to protect is waiting for me at home gave me strength. For now, I shouldn't be away from the office too long or they'll get suspicious. I better get back. I hung up and left the restroom, thinking about what to do next. I couldn't ignore what I had learned. But who should I tell? As an ordinary employee with no power, it's doubtful that anyone would believe me if I reported it directly. If I do something wrong and only incur Keeney Smith's wrath, it could be disastrous. I needed to carefully consider my next steps. I promised Kathy we'd go fishing on my next day off, but I doubt I can enjoy it in this situation. I sighed heavily, feeling disappointed. Kathy had developed an interest in fishing and fish because of me. We often go fishing together on weekends, but it might be better to sort out this problem first. After returning to the office, I tried to continue working, but I couldn't focus. I ended up working an hour later than planned before heading home. The only consolation was that I didn't run into Keeney again. After getting home, I absent-mindedly ate dinner, took a bath, and tried to sleep, but sleep wouldn't come. As I tossed and turned, burdened with restless thoughts, Kathy came into the room. "Dad, are you awake?" After a light knock and her call, the door opened. "Yeah, I'm awake. What's up?" It was past 1 a.m. when I looked at the clock. Kathy usually didn't stay up this late, even on study nights. As I wondered why, she hesitantly entered the room and, after a few seconds of hesitation, spoke. "There's this guy who always helps me with my studies. He said he had an interview at your company the other day." "Really?" I remembered her mentioning him before. Kathy, a high school senior, often studied at the library, where someone helped her with math. The guy, named Tim, was a few years older than Kathy and had a slim build. Kathy had shown me a picture of him on her phone, so I knew his face. He was living on part-time jobs but had recently started job hunting, having found something he wanted to do. Tim seemed worried about something. "I'm a bit concerned." He said he saw an unpleasant side of a parent he respected. It made me feel a sense of kinship. If that was true, Tim must be having a tough time. Being let down by someone you look up to is hard for anyone. I know you're busy with work, so I don't want to pressure you. But if you see him, I'd appreciate it if you could keep an eye on him. I'm proud of my daughter for growing up to care about others. As her father, I couldn't say no to this request. Got it. If I see him, I'll check in with him. Thanks, Dad. Now that I'm not worried, I'm feeling sleepy. Good night. After seeing her leave the room, I thought about a particular matter. Due to the flu and colds going around, we were short-staffed for setting up the interview rooms this year. So, they asked people from other departments like mine to help out. If I joined in, maybe I could seat him. But should I get involved in something else when I still hadn't figured out how to handle the situation with Keeney? The next morning, as I headed to work with these thoughts, I noticed something different about the office atmosphere. Good morning. Good morning, Tyler. For some reason, my colleagues seemed distant. They were talking in hushed voices. Curious, I listened more closely and was shocked by what I heard. Is it true that Williams is having an affair? I don't know, but there was a weird email going around yesterday. It said he spends a lot of money and has huge gambling debts. No way, Williams would never do something like that. These accusations were completely unfamiliar to me. I wasn't having an affair, nor did I gamble. So why were these rumors spreading? I checked my phone but didn't see any such emails. As I wondered who could have done this, Keeney Smith walked in. Good morning, everyone. Let's work hard today. He came straight to me and spoke. Williams, did you drop a handkerchief yesterday? He handed me the handkerchief I had lost the previous day. The moment I saw it, my heart started pounding. Last night, after overhearing Keeney Smith's secret conversation, I used my handkerchief to wipe my sweat but somehow lost it. I never expected Keeney would find it. No, I didn't drop it. It's not mine. Sorry, I thought it looked like the one you often use. My mistake. Did anyone lose a handkerchief? I lied on the spot, barely managing to stay calm. Does Keeney know I was there? If he does, hiding it might be pointless. The thought of facing Keeney every day made me feel extremely uneasy. The interview assistance was confirmed without any issues. Several people from my department volunteered to help, revealing the severity of the staffing shortage. It seemed many in HI were out sick with colds or the flu at the same time. Because of this, I ended up being busier than expected. Setting up the interview room involved preparing chairs and tables, setting up signs, and printing materials for the applicants. On the first day of interviews, I had to guide the job seekers, assist the interviewers, organize resumes, and handle various tasks. For someone like me who usually takes things at his own pace, this was tough work. But knowing I was helping to select future colleagues, I pushed through each day. During this process, an applicant mentioned that the venue, held in a different building from the main office, was hard to find. So, I created a detailed map, which they appreciated, though it made me a bit embarrassed. The baseless rumors had been depressing, but this lifted my spirits a little. I printed extra copies of the handouts for the interviewees. We only had just enough. That's helpful. I also put up more signs to make the restrooms easier to find. Yes, there were some confusing spots. Thanks, that's really helpful. Seeing my dedication to these tasks, the baseless rumors quickly died down. My colleagues realized their mistake and apologized for spreading the rumors. Williams, you would never cheat. I don't know what we were thinking. Sorry for saying those things. Yeah, someone as diligent as you would never gamble. I'm sorry for gossiping. It's okay, don't worry about it. Time flew by, and before I knew it, the final interview day arrived. continuing to help at the interview venue for my daughter's sake, I finally met Tim on the last day. As I watched Tim, who seemed troubled, I noticed his clothes were disheveled. Thinking it might be a good conversation starter, I approached him and spoke. "Your shirt is untucked." "Sorry about that. I didn't notice." His casual tone surprised me, but his expression didn't match his light words. He looked serious. I suggested he straighten up in the restroom, and he spoke to me in a low voice. "I don't know where it is, could you show me?" "Sure, I can do that." Thinking he might want to talk, I accompanied Tim to the men's restroom. Once we were away from prying eyes, Tim relaxed a bit. His tense demeanor eased as he took a breath. "Calmer now," Tim looked at me in surprise. "Wait, are you Kathy's dad?" It seemed Kathy had told him about me. He must have seen a picture of me on her phone or something. "Yes, that's right. You're Tim, right?" When I told Tim that Kathy was worried about him, he looked apologetic and apologized. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to worry Kathy, but it seems it showed on my face." His tone was much more polite than before, as if he was a different person. I was taken aback by his change in demeanor. I just needed to talk to someone other than my father, and if it's Kathy's dad, I think I can trust you more than anyone else. "I'm glad." Not understanding what he meant, I could only ask questions. "It seems like there's something bothering you. Do you have a problem?" as Kathy mentioned. Kathy isn't very perceptive about people's feelings, much like me. But if she noticed, it must be a significant issue. "Talking might help. Would you like to share with me?" "Okay, the thing is, my father works for this company." Tim began to open up about his troubles. He explained that his father was a corporate spy. While working for this company, his father was selling information about new products for money. Tim found out about it by accident and wanted to do something about it. When Kathy mentioned it, I thought it was possible, but now I was certain that Tim was Keene Smith's son. I remembered seeing Tim's last name on the interview list and recognizing it as Smith. While there are people with the same last name, Smith is relatively uncommon. It's unlikely they're unrelated. "Are you by any chance the son of Keene Smith?" "Yes, I am. Do you know my father?" "Yeah, I know him well. He's the manager of my department." I told the surprised Tim about how Keene presented himself as a reliable leader. His actions as a corporate spy, and everything that happened afterward. Tim reacted as if he had expected this. "My father is very good at pretending to be a good person, so I'm sure he's the one who sent those harassing emails." So it was him after all. It was hard to accept, but there was no denying it now. To honor Tim's courage in sharing his story, I mentally said goodbye to the good man I once thought Keene was. But even if I try to explain it to others, my father is so charming on the surface that no one ever believes me. I couldn't bear to see Tim with his head down like that. Seeing a kid, not much older than my daughter, in such distress made my heart ache. How could Keene Smith not care about the pain he was causing his son? "Tim, I believe you." "Mr. Williams, thank you, you've helped me make up my mind." With a brighter expression, Tim shared a plan to stop his father. After hearing it, I knew I had to help him. When we returned to the hallway near the interview room, a male colleague who was helping out approached me. "Williams, did you know that Keene Smith will be one of the final interviewers?" "What?" I had already heard this from Tim, but admitting it would complicate things, so I pretended to be surprised. Luckily, my colleague didn't notice my act. I don't know the details, but he seems to know one of the interviewers. He asked to be part of the panel, knowing Keene. He must have a reason, but it's still surprising, right? "Yes, it is." As we chatted nervously, It seemed the interview time had arrived. I was called by the interviewer and headed to the final interview room. I organized the entry sheets and resumes, handing them to the interviewers. After the first few candidates, it was time for the 10th one. Tim's name was called, and he entered the room. The real challenge started now. If Tim was putting in effort, then I needed to do the same. I couldn't hesitate just because I thought people wouldn't believe me. When Tim arrived, his previously tidy appearance had become disheveled again. Ignoring the chair set for interviewees, he strode to the center of the room and spoke loudly. I applied because my dad works here, but this group doesn't seem impressive at all. The atmosphere in the interview room shifted instantly. Like the warm air from the heater had turned into an icy chill. Seeing the interviewers frozen in shock, I stepped in. That's disrespectful. Apologize to everyone here. They're all taking this interview seriously. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. And what's with that outfit? You don't look like someone here for an interview. This is my way of expressing myself. Maybe it's a concept old people like you can't understand. Tim laughed mockingly, then pointed at me with a look of realization and dropped a bombshell. So you're the incompetent employee my dad always talks about. In the silent room, Tim's laughter echoed. By the way, my dad is Keeney Smith over there. All the interviewers' eyes turned toward Keeney. Keeney Smith turned pale and trembled uncontrollably, seemingly not expecting things to turn out this way. My dad told me about you. He said you are slow and can't do anything right. Stop it, Tim. What are you saying? Keeney, his face turning red, tried to move, but the interviewers held him back. Why are you panicking, Dad? You're always saying how tiring it is to deal with incompetent bosses. Enough, don't talk like that. Why pretend now? You complain about it to me every day. Shut up. If you keep talking, you'll regret it. Tim shrugged and laughed derisively at Keeney, mocking him openly. Stop acting all high and mighty, Dad. You're not much of a big deal at the company either, are you? Tim, just wait until we get home. I'll lock you in your room and skip your meals. I'll take away everything you care about. Look, the mask is off. It's not, everyone. This isn't true. Keeney tried to cover it up, but it was too late. Keeney was not only a bad person at work, but also at home. I felt sorry for Tim. I wasn't the only one, as the interviewer's gazes toward Keeney grew colder. Do you enjoy holding people's weaknesses over them? I found a detailed account of your harassment in your diary. Tim pulled out a notebook, presumably Keeney's, and tossed it to the interviewers. Keeney tried to retrieve it in a panic, but I stopped him. He glared at me, but I ignored him. Backing down now would mean I couldn't face my daughter as a father. By the way, I've heard you're leaking company information. Playing the spy hero, huh? I saw emails from other companies thanking you for new product details. What? When did you see my phone? Hearing Tim's words, the interviewers glared at Keeney with stern expressions. I held Keeney Smith's shoulder to keep him from escaping. Don't run away. Face what you've done, Mr. Smith. Williams. It seems we need to hear the full story from you and your son, Keeney Smith. Tim Smith, please step out for now. After the interview-turned accusation session, Tim was taken to another room. The interviews for other candidates resumed as usual, but Keeney did not return. Later, I was asked to join the investigation as someone who had been harassed. I shared everything I knew. A few weeks later, I arranged to meet him in front of the library. When I arrived, he was already there. After a brief greeting, we got straight to the point. I heard you told the interviewers about my act after the final interview. I didn't do much. I just didn't want to ruin the future of a brave young man like you. That day, after the final interview, I explained Tim's situation to the interviewers. It was necessary, but it would have been too sad to let Tim's reputation suffer because of it. As a result, Tim's interview was rescheduled, which was fortunate. If he decided he didn't want to join our company, that was his choice, but I hoped he would. Thank you. I tried to talk to my mom, grandfather, grandmother, and relatives, but no one took me seriously. I'm glad I met someone like you, Mr. Williams. Tim. Tears welled up in my eyes. I couldn't help but wish for his future happiness. Tim brightened the mood with his cheerful voice. They're going to let me interview again. This time, I'll do my best. If it's a company with people like you, I'd like to work there. If that happens, you'd be very welcome. We'd be lucky to have someone as promising as you. As we imagined a bright future and shook hands firmly, a breathless Keene Smith appeared. So, this is where you are, Tim. Dad. Our talk isn't finished yet. It seemed Tim had slipped out during his father's lecture. Keene, who had been looking for his son, reached out to grab Tim's arm. I quickly stepped between them to stop Keene. Tim, you really pulled me down. I arranged with the interviewers to help you get in, and I was there to cover for you if anything went wrong. Keene, spitting with anger, glared at his son, ignoring me entirely. Do you know how much shame you brought on me? Everyone at the company looked at me with cold eyes and bombarded me with questions. Don't you feel sorry for your father? Bow down and apologize. He continued to hurl insults at his son. I'm not sorry for what I did. You're the one who's wrong. What? How dare you speak to your father like that? You look like a delinquent and act like one too. You can't do anything without my guidance. Whose fault do you think that is? I acted out because I knew no one would believe me over you. You're good at pretending to be nice. When I saw Keene raising his fist, I quickly intervened. Stop. Violence isn't the answer, Mr. Smith. Stay out of this, Williams. You're usually slow, but now you move quickly. Seeing Keene no longer hiding his true self made me sad. The person I once admired was gone. Don't butt in. I need to guide him. A heartless traitor who sells out his family needs to be corrected. Did you make some deal with the interviewers to get me kicked out? How else would you get another interview invitation? Tim just wanted to stop you, Mr. Smith. I'll explain everything, so please listen. I told Keene everything that had happened. How I overheard him that night I stayed late at work, and my conversation with Tim in the restroom. When I finished, Keene glared at me with pure hatred. So, I should have kicked you out of the workplace sooner. I suspected something when I found your handkerchief. I should have harassed you without mercy and gotten rid of you. I had hoped that knowing the whole story would make him change. But there was no sign of remorse in his words. You two are both worthless. You betrayed the family you've been with for years and the boss you've worked with for so long. Who do you think you've lived your life thanks to? Who made it possible for you to work in peace? I couldn't listen to any more. Those weren't words a father should say to his son. Enough. I realized I was shouting louder than I ever had in my life. Keene looked stunned, not expecting me to raise my voice. You've had your say. What you said to your son is unacceptable. A parent should always wish for their child's happiness. Keene seemed oblivious to how much his words had hurt Tim, who had been quietly holding back tears. How can I, a stranger, see this, but his own father, Keene Smith, cannot? When a child is trying this hard, a parent should respond properly and atone for their sins. If you keep insulting him, I won't forgive you. Keene clenched his fists and glared at me, but seeing the growing crowd, he ran away. Library staff, alerted by the commotion, came over. As I scratched my head, wondering how to explain, Tim thanked me. "I'm sorry, my father's behavior was sad, but I feel a bit relieved. Thank you." "No, thank you. It was your courage that allowed me to stand up and say what needed to be said. I should be thanking you." Afterward, Keene Smith was fired and left the company. It was inevitable since he had been leaking company information. He stayed at home for a few weeks, feeling ostracized by his family. Tim and his mother were considering divorce. Realizing he was being abandoned, Keene finally felt guilty, showing up at the employment office daily with a haggard look. Meanwhile, I continued working under a new manager. Tim joined us as a new employee after his rescheduled interview. Training him was challenging. But the rumors Keene had spread about me were never really believed, and Tim explained everything to everyone. As a result, the workplace atmosphere had completely returned to normal. Seeing Tim laughing among his colleagues warmed my heart. Tim, who had pretended to be a delinquent to stop his father's wrongdoing, was now able to be his true self both at home and work. "Tim, my daughter and I are going fishing next time. Would you like to join us?" "Really? Is it okay for me to join your family outing?" "You're more than welcome. We'd love to have a promising newcomer like you." Looking at the office now, I felt truly glad that I had chosen to stand up and fight.